human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
There's no time.
The time is
13
o'clock.
All right, here we are. We're back again. It's Tuesday, and it's episode 117.
Yeah, and it's another one of our paranormal shows. People get excited when we do like paranormal.
Well, it's not
even
really,
though it's not really
paranormal. It's more like psychological weirdness.
Yeah, weirdness, mystery.
Yeah,
type stuff.
So this was actually a recommendation, and it's a damn good one, because I don't think I would have thought to do this on my own.
Yeah, it was obscure.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we did a show on the Salem Witch Trials, and I think we talked a little bit about quote-unquote mass hysteria back then, but someone, I believe it was actually even on that episode, like on the YouTube video, were like, why don't you guys should do a whole show about mass hysterias, like throughout history, like dancing plagues and stuff like that, and I'm like, wow, that's a fantastic idea. So I started, like, researching, because I wanted kind of a good mix of different cases to cover and stuff like that. And I kind of went down a rabbit hole where I was just like reading about all these different, reading about all these different cases and reading about like the reasons for it and stuff like that. And really, the causes of it are mostly unknown. And it's kind of like a hard thing to diagnose, because it's almost kind of like a last resort diagnosis. It's sort of like, well, all these people are acting in this particular way or showing these particular symptoms, and we can't find an organic cause for it, so therefore it's probably a case of mass hysteria. Yeah. But, you know, a lot of sociologists and psychologists have pointed out that, well, that doesn't preclude the possibility that there might actually be an organic cause for it, like, say, a pesticide or food poisoning or something like that, but we just didn't find it. So we're just calling it a case of mass hysteria.
Yeah, and some of this stuff is ongoing now. It's almost kind of like a current event, because right now in Africa, they got people thinking that you're stealing their penis.
Well,
that's
actually,
some shit. Where they're stealing dick thieves.
No, well, that's actually a thing.
It's a thing, yeah.
It didn't originate there. It's actually a whole syndrome. It's in the DSM-V, whatever it's called, the diagnostic manual and everything. It's called Koro. And I'm going to actually talk about this on the show, because that's actually kind of fascinating.
We're going to get into it.
Some of that is culture-bound syndrome. They used to call it that, because most of the earlier cases were from China. But since then, you know, it's kind of spread worldwide.
Dick thieves.
Yeah. So that's kind of an interesting thing. But like I said before... I said, well, I'm going to save that till last, because it's like, I'm sure it's probably not funny for the people that it affects, because it is an actual psychological disorder.
Actually, this guy's getting killed over it.
There are. And there are. It's very sad. And it just goes to show that this, I mean, taken to an extreme, it can be actually quite dangerous, because when you stir up fear of that type, I mean, people are going to get hurt, and it does happen.
It's like some shit out of the medieval era, when they're going to witch panics and stuff like that.
Yeah. So like I said, you know, we're not going to talk about the Salem Witch Trials, because we already did a whole episode on that. You know, but that's a similar type of thing that we're talking about. But there's a ton of other ones that are happening and are still happening in the present day. So we're going to get a little bit into that. Before that, we'll just do a couple of shout outs at the beginning, like we usually do. If you haven't seen our latest movie retrospective, it was the Stuart Gordon film, Castle Freak. Kind of a lesser known Stuart Gordon film, but it's actually a pretty good one if you want to check it out. Also, our last matinee, which came out on Sunday, was Suspiria, Bohemian Rhapsody, and the Nutcracker in the Four Realms.
Don't worry about Nutcracker. See Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah, two of those were awesome. The third
Suspiria
one,
was good.
not so much.
Even though I didn't understand Suspiria, she understood it. You know,
I told you that's kind of my thing.
She's a brainiac. She saw the original too. I didn't even know it was about witches. I talk about it in the little room. I said, "This is." As soon as I realized it was about witches, I was like, "Oh, okay, this is a little bit more interesting."
See, I thought you knew, because I thought that I had shown you the original at some point.
No, I never seen it. But no, I was going. I was getting kind of bored that first 20 minutes. I was like, "What is this about?" You know. Yeah. And then I saw what they could do, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, okay." Yeah.
Well, see, I guess because he figured, like the director figured, that everybody had seen the original and knew it was about witches, so he didn't like really beat around the bush or anything. It's like, they're witches, because everybody knows that. Okay. Spoiler alert. Well, like I said, I thought everybody knew Suspiria was about witches.
Audiobook. We ran into some difficulties. we had it all pre-recorded. The recording quality really didn't.
I couldn't get it to adhere to the ACX standards, which if you've ever recorded or uploaded an audiobook are quite stringent.
Yeah, they're getting better. They weren't quite as stringent, I don't think, before.
No, they were.
They were? Okay.
But, you know, for some reason I just kind of got them. But this one I was trying to massage. And then a couple of I found out later when I was going to edit some of the chapters that I had recorded, I got this really terrible, unbelievable, like crackling sound with the microphone, like through the whole thing. So I was like,
I think it was some kind of data problem.
Yeah, and it's like, I think it was a memory issue.
Because each little cut was going above an hour and a half. And
because
for some reason it was kind of like pixelating, I guess.
I've heard that some people have had that issue with this particular Yeti microphone, that if you have other programs running, or if you don't have enough RAM, or you have other things going, then it's going to start crackling after a certain point. Right. So I got that on a few, and I said, you know what, I'm just going to, we built another little studio in the closet. Like
she's in that closet. I got the thing totally insulated with huge comforters. It's got to be like 100 degrees in there. And she's in there reading a book with the cat trying to get in there.
Yeah. Because you know how Baby Cookie, you guys
she'll fight the door to get in.
Yeah, you guys that watch our show regularly, our little kitty, Baby Cookie, she's, I guess I still call her a kitten, even though she's, 1.5. But she has to be like up in your shit all the time, like, hey mama, what you doing? Hey daddy, what you doing? It's like, she tries to jump in the dryer when
she was warning me, she's in there, she's in the closet.
I know, she's like, what, she's mama? In the closet. Why is she in there?
The cat's telling me,
you gotta let me in, this is
Jenny's in the closet.
Yeah. So she's
hilarious.
Like, she's like trying. So sometimes I'm trying to read and I can hear a little claws go. She's like, "Mama, please let me in," and she's like in there trying to eat the microphone and stuff. So it's like, But I've re-recorded like half of it. It sounds a lot better.
It's a lot better. It's a much better product.
Yeah, and honestly, the way that I've recorded it this time, like I'm trying to be really careful and just like record things in just little segments, so I don't have to like re-record
little
a whole
20-minute, 30-minute
2-hour chunk over again. Because honestly, I've read this.
She has to do that once. She's read this book 3-4 times out loud,
and I'm like really sick of looking at it. It's like I probably have it memorized at this point. Yeah. But yeah, so the fact that I'm recording it better to start with, I mean, hopefully will mean at the back end it's like less editing. I still have to take out, like I said, all the burping and stuff like that. Yeah. But it's like and coughing fits and everything. But,
and another thing is once this is done, we're gonna repackage all her fiction. And that's gonna come out maybe in 1 or 2 audiobooks, because it isn't out on audio. And that's gonna be an awesome, like a one-stop shop for people who want to hear.
Yeah, I'm trying, and like I said, I think we mentioned this on another
We have
episode,
to repackage it to make it more marketable, because she was doing that stuff before audiobook was a thing. So
it was something that didn't occur to me when those came out.
Yeah, so we're gonna make it into a more modern product, and then we're gonna go back, and we're gonna re-record to higher standard the other audiobooks, probably starting with Faceless Villain and Unseen Hand.
Yeah, Faceless Villain 1.
Yeah, and then Unseen Hand.
I mean, the sound on that one is okay, but I think it could be better.
And we could probably, probably the Mara books, do those.
Yeah, eventually.
We're going to totally reboot Mammoth Mountain, because more stuff has happened since then. More can be added to that story.
Yeah, we wanted to do a second edition.
And we're not going to, in a second edition, I think it doesn't have to be as dry and scholarly, because at the time, that was your first nonfiction paranormal book. So it was kind of like we were trying to make a statement of that this case really happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the market actually was parapsychologists. When we first write, we're going to make it more, it's still going to be true. It's still going to be like that. But we're going to add more detail and make it a little bit more novelized slightly. I think it might be better, don't you think?
Yeah, it might be a more fun read.
I think it'd be, because it's a little dry.
Yeah, maybe.
It's a little dry.
Although I've had people tell me that they thought that made it scarier.
That's true. Well, maybe we can keep both editions.
Well, yeah, I'm not going to get rid of the first edition. I just wanted to do a second one, like, because we had some more shit to add, and it's like, we wanted to kind of expand it out a little bit, because it's a little short. So I kind of wanted to add some more stuff.
We can tell what happened to Red, because my Uncle Red died.
Yeah.
And maybe we can do some more interviews with Lois that might...
we can do more updates and
updates and remind us like more of stuff that had happened during that time.
Yeah.
And there was, there were a few details that we left out for legal purposes and shit like that maybe we can put in.
Yeah, true. Yeah, because I was like worried about it. I'd never really done a nonfiction book before, And there was some stuff, it's like I changed people's names and I changed the names of locations.
And we also,
so I wouldn't get my ass in trouble.
And we also abbreviated, I think we abbreviated one aspect about another family that was briefly involved with it at the time.
Yeah.
And I think we kind of left that out to kind of cover our asses on a legal thing, too.
Yeah.
Okay. But we'll see what we can do with that.
Yeah, because I can't really afford a lawyer, so
we can't afford being sued over something.
Yeah, but so I definitely wanted to like keep.
So we had to keep it
the safe range
to keep it
so no
simple.
one would come after me.
Right.
Because some of the people involved are still alive.
But that case has some fans. I mean, if you read the reviews on there, there's some people, like one cop was really freaked out by that story. But
yeah,
there's more to that story. Doesn't change it a whole lot, but there's some more detail that we kind of had to leave out.
Well, and like you said, so much happened that you probably forgot a lot of it.
It's hard to keep a lot of it straight about the order in which certain things happen.
Yeah,
so the way we wrote that, we wrote down what we absolutely knew happened in what order.
Yeah.
There was some other stuff that happened. We'll just leave that out.
Yeah.
Because it was kind of like this, hand towels moving.
Yeah.
Basically. So.
Because like you said, there were so many incidents
so much of it. You can't keep it.
That you didn't know which happened on what day.
Yeah,
and stuff
right.
Like that, because it was just like, oh, that happened again. Like that happened all the time.
Yeah, and the skeptic will get in there and try to pick all that shit apart. Well, you said that it happened on this day man, it was chaos for a week.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and shit. Man, I don't even remember what I fucking ate yesterday.
Yeah.
Much less what I don't even remember 1982.
Cops will have a big shootout with a bunch of criminals, and then afterwards they try to give a report and they can't keep it straight.
Well, yeah, because...
And everybody knows that the shootout happened. What are you going to go in there? Well, this shootout didn't happen because they got the orders wrong. Memory is not... Especially under stress is not...
Yeah, under like an anxiety or like a situation you don't encounter every day. I mean, it's once you get over the shock, you're not going to be able to remember it that well. That's just the way the human brain works. It's no judgment.
You remember what happened, but you don't remember the exact order, what happened first.
Right. Like
it's
I
weird.
said, we talked about it on when we were talking about memory and stuff like that. It's like it's unreliable. That's just the way human memory is. It sucks, but I wish the breaks.
I wish Red was still around, because remember all that good stuff that he was remembering.
Yeah, I know.
He remembered about the Hot Wheel cars.
Yeah, you didn't even remember that.
Yeah, when he mentioned it, I went, oh yeah, I forgot about that one.
Yeah. I know.
We'll put that one in the book. We'll put that in the book.
Well, I think that is in the book, because we talked to him on the phone. We talked to him on the phone, and he remembered it before I wrote it. So, because like I said, I got statements from them too, like when Red was still alive.
Okay.
But yeah, all right. So let's kind of get into the main topic, talking about mass hysteria. Now, mass hysteria, it should be noted, is not. It's kind of like the casual term. But it's not actually the legit medical term. It's actually not really a legit... It's not like in the diagnostic thing for the psychology things. It's just, like I said, it's sort of like the, kind of the symptom or the diagnosis of last resort when they can't think of anything else that could be causing this particular thing. But generally when they talk about it, it's most usually called mass psychogenic illness, or MPI. So they don't really call it mass hysteria anymore, because hysteria kind of has a negative connotation, saying that, oh, women be crazy. You know what I mean? So essentially, because that word comes from uterus. Yeah. So, so that was like the implication that bitches be crazy.
It means bitches be crazy.
Bitches be crazy. So they don't really use that word anymore, except in sort of more casual context.
That's hilarious.
It's true, though.
I like it. It's
true, though.
I'm going to bring that shit back. Bitches be crazy. How do you say it again?
Well...
What's the word?
Hysteria.
Okay, hysteria. Okay.
Yeah, because like I said, it's based on the word for uterus.
I didn't realize that.
That was like I said, yeah, because the whole wandering womb thing, and it's like, oh, the women in their wombs and wandering around, and it makes them act like
histrionic personality disorder. Crazy ass bitch.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because you say you're gonna bring it back, dude. It never went anywhere. Okay. People still think that.
Yeah, you said hysteria for some reason. I thought you said miscogination, or for some reason I don't know.
That doesn't have anything.
My mind was wandering somewhere else when you said it, so I didn't really.
I guess
record.
So. Get your mind. See, wandering
brain. Wandering brain. Kugelkan.
It's going right down into your butt.
I was actually, you know what I was doing?
Where was it going?
I was actually having a mini flashback about fucking Mammoth Mountain.
See, there's you went all
I was
off in
thinking,
that. We already did
yeah.
a show about that.
Yeah. Okay. Man, I can't believe that shit happened. That was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Looking back on it, I was like, man, I was very lucky to see that.
But yeah, so like I said, mass hysteria, I know people use the term very loosely, meaning like, oh, anytime a bunch of people just go apeshit. That's not really what it is. It's usually when a group of people start displaying usually physical symptoms with no organic cause, or no organic cause that they can locate. That's not always the case. Sometimes it's kind of like a media-fueled panic, much like the satanic panic, which we also did a show about, the clown sightings that happened in 2016, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit more depth later on. The Mad Gasser of Mattoon, which we also did a show about, like Spring Heel Jack, where, one incident kind of spurs this panic or like, an anxiety in a kind of closed-in community that this is happening more frequently than it's actually happening. So those are like two different aspects of it. Now, the interesting thing, if you go to the Wikipedia page for mass psychogenic illness, it will tell you like what are the sort of parameters by which they judge something as mass hysteria. Like I said, it's usually, what's that?
Psychogenic. That's what I thought you said that
Yeah.
was based on. That was the word.
No.
Okay.
No.
All right.
Hysteria.
Hysteria. Yeah. Psychogenic.
Yeah.
That's
Because remember I said they used to like, as soon as a woman like stood up about something and say, hey, I don't like this shit, they're like, well, to the mental hospital with you, lady.
Yeah, that was a weird thing that they
That's
did
what
back
they
in those days. They
used to
just
do.
lock a woman up.
Back in the old days, they slammed you in a convent,
Yeah.
and then after that, they said, "Oh, well, we can't put them in a convent anymore, so now we'll just put them in a mental hospital."
Yeah, what was the
when
real
they're
motive?
talking about shit shit we don't like? That's pretty much what
What
it
was the real motive? What is it that they were talking about
It
that they
was
didn't like? What were they saying?
I mean, it was different in every situation, but it was usually women that were unhappy with their status in life, or it was women that acted different than they were supposed to. Or were eccentric or other things of that kind of nature. They just weren't acting as they were expected to, so therefore bitches be
I've
great.
seen the ruins of those places that, guys exploring them, like those urban explorers. Those places were huge.
Yeah.
They were huge and they were filled up with women.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And the interesting thing, that's kind of like related to what we're talking about, because a lot of these outbreaks did take place like in nunneries and stuff like that, where a lot of the women there were put there, against their will for various reasons. And it was very cloistered. It was very conservative. It was very repressive. And they didn't have a lot of avenues for expressing their feelings or acting out or like talking about, what was bothering them. So a lot of times it would kind of manifest as these kind of crazy, not crazy in a bad way, but these kind of like weird, mass hysterias. Like there was one in France where like one nun started meowing, and then like a bunch of the other ones did it. It almost kind of was like a safe way to express that something was wrong, because they weren't really allowed to in any other avenue. So it's like, well, maybe if we just start acting, and they're not doing it deliberately, they're not doing it consciously. It's just anxiety and stress, and it's kind of like coming out in this weird psychogenic sort of way. So that's something that sociologists have looked into as kind of a cause for this, because it should be noted that even that women actually are a little more disproportionately likely to be affected by this kind of thing. They're like, it's not a huge thing because, the dancing plagues and things like that, that also affected men. The Koro thing also affected men. So it's not just like a woman only bitches be crazy thing. They said it's usually has something to do with stresses in the environment. It happens a lot during times of war and times of plague. People from low socioeconomic, backgrounds, people who feel like they don't have a lot of control over their life or what's going on.
So it's a way of acting. It's like a pressure release
Pretty
valve.
much, yeah.
It's a way of
Like
acting
you
out.
said, it's kind of like the poltergeist thing, which
Right,
is one of our theories about that. It's a similar type of thing,
Okay.
But it's just causing physical symptoms rather than,
Paranormal.
paranormal.
Right.
So, but I think it's kind of like the same.
Sounds reasonable, yeah.
Yeah. So usually what an outbreak of mass hysteria would generally look like. Like I said, it's it's something where they can't find an organic basis for it. There's no food poisoning, there's no poison gas, there's no nothing like that. The symptoms tend to be sort of transient or, ones that are sort of generalized. Most common ones are like headache, nausea, fainting, things like that. Some of them are weirder, like I said, like dancing until you pass out or have a heart attack, things like that nature, or meowing. But generally they're pretty standard, stomach aches, diarrhea, that type of thing.
Wonder if there's a link with Tourette's.
What's weird is there was actually I can't remember where it was right now. It might have been Leroy, New York that I'm thinking of. But there was actually a mass hysteria outbreak, like in a girls' school, where a bunch of girls started displaying Tourette's-like syndromes. They started twitching and they started like.
Because one guy, and this is back in the 1800s and 1900s, I think it was early 1900s, who observed some poltergeist activity, thought that maybe it was linked to Tourette's.
And we've kind of talked about that before.
And what's funny is that, sometimes I talk to Venom and shit. Maybe that's like Tourette's, too.
Yeah. It may be. That might be a related...
It's some kind of outburst.
Because
involuntary outburst.
Yeah, and I'd actually kind of like to say this because I think this is kind of why... it's gotten better a lot.
I just called it talking to Venom.
Yeah. Because like I said, when we went to see Venom, that kind of reminded me of you. Just talking to nobody, like, in your head, but you know what I mean?
Reacting to something that's not there.
Motherfucker. Yeah.
Like a Wolverine walking around just mad.
Yeah.
Because he's thinking about stuff.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah.
But yeah, and something I want to say too, like I said, I think it's a lot better now than it used to be, because I think back in the old days, and there's still this really weird dichotomy between people thinking that there's like a thing between mental health and physical health. You know what I mean? And it's almost like mental health isn't taken as seriously, like shit's like all in your head and stuff. And it happens in mass hysteria cases too, where it's like, people get defensive and mad when they're like, well, it's mass hysteria, or, essentially it's all in your head. But the thing is, your thoughts, your brain affects your body. Your brain is part of your body. So sociologists, people that diagnose this type of thing, it's like, we're not saying you're imagining it, because the symptoms are real. It's just that there's no external cause for it, really, other than your reaction to your situation, whether you're very stressed or something like that. They're like, obviously people can be stressed out and they break out in hives, things like that. So it's not, I don't want to think, anybody to think that I'm coming across as saying, well, it's like, oh, shit's all in their heads and stuff like that. I mean, maybe there's not like there's no poison or anything like that, but the symptoms that you're experiencing are real symptoms. Just the fact that they can't find like an outside cause for it. You know what I mean? That's basically when they make this diagnosis.
Yeah, the power of the mind, you can't underestimate it.
Right, exactly.
I mean, that's even in the animal kingdom. You put an animal under enough stress, it dies.
Yeah. And
there's nothing physically wrong with it. It wills itself to death.
Yeah. So it does happen. Like the brain has a huge amount or a huge effect on your physical body. Because like I said, essentially it's the same thing. Your brain is not separate. It's in there. You know what I mean? And the things you think about and the culture you grow up in and things like that affects how, shit that comes out in your body. So, but yeah, and that's something that they kind of talk about a lot on this too. Another thing that tends to, they're like, in a lot of these sort of situations, it's usually kind of a small group of people, usually like in a school or in a factory. People that can see each other. So, if one person starts fainting or something like that, say it's more likely for someone else to, things like that. Like I said, it usually starts out with older people or higher status people and then moves on down the chain. Although the most commonly common type of person that's affected, it's usually kids or adolescents. When it happens among adults, it's, usually more women, but not always. But, so there's that type of thing. Now, there used to be kind of a misconception that it happened more frequently among people with neuroticism, like higher scores of neuroticism or low IQs or higher extroversion. But this is apparently not the case. It was the case in a few scattered, cases of it happening, but in general, they're like, under the right circumstances, pretty much anyone is, vulnerable to this. So it's not like, oh, it's just dumb people, or, oh, it's just, they're like, under a particular set of circumstances, it can affect anyone. My experience,
dumb people are mentally tougher and physically tougher. They're like sharks. I've seen it. I've seen it firsthand. Dumb guy could just fucking bulldoze his way through anything.
Because they're not thinking about it.
They're not thinking about it, yeah. They're like, they're having fun when another person might be suffering.
I wonder, too, if that might be why women are affected a little bit more. Not only because they tend to, I mean, in cases where it happened in, like, girls' schools or in factories where women worked, they're, like, almost overwhelmingly, it was when the women were under a great deal of stress. Like, they worked very long hours. They had children at home that they were the sole caretakers for. They were the sole breadwinners for their family. They didn't have any rights. They didn't have any, what's the word I'm looking for? Any recourse. That's the word I'm looking for. Any recourse to, like, have any of their problems managed. So that's kind of what happened. So they were under a lot more stress in that particular area and didn't really have a voice or didn't have any way of, getting rid of it any other way. And also I wonder too, if it's because women in general, not all of them obviously, but women in general tend to think about things more. They tend to be more empathetic towards other people. They tend to overthink things sometimes or think about a whole bunch of things at once. I mean,
and the great philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer says, don't do that. If you want to survive, don't think about it.
Well, but that's hard.
Because
it's
the more you think about it, the more you realize everything's hopeless.
That's hard. Well, that's true.
Well, he invented the philosophy called pessimism.
Yes, I know.
So, Schopenhauer, there was a lot of Schopenhauer's true. I read Schopenhauer. And I'm going like, he's right. But don't focus on that. If you focus on shit too much, it becomes your reality. You know what I mean? Whatever you focus on, that becomes your reality. Well, if you focus on the negative aspects, that's all you're going to see.
Yeah, that's definitely the case. Yeah. You can't, I mean, what you're focused on, you're just going to see more of that because you're not going to notice.
It's kind of the ignorance is bliss type thing, though. As long as you're having fun and not worrying about anything, then it just goes through it. It's all right.
Yeah.
Right up to the moment you die.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Because remember I told you the other day, and I don't remember if I mentioned this on the show or if I just said it to you, but I said, I didn't come up with this, but I saw somebody on the internet somewhere that compared, in general, the female brain to having like 100 tabs open on the internet like at once, and you keep like scrooching it, and I'm like, yeah, that's pretty accurate. And I was just like, and every time I finish one thing, I can just close that tab, and then I have 99 more tabs that I still have to deal with.
Yeah, I tell you, don't worry about it.
I know, but that's hard.
She has all these projects going, and says, no, just one at a time.
It's really, really hard for me to do that.
Don't worry about it.
It's really hard for me to do that. Because like I said, I have 100 tabs open at all times.
I have a hard time opening one.
Yeah. That's another thing. I read this other book that said a dude's brain is like a sledgehammer, whereas a female brain is more like a Swiss Army knife. Yeah. In general, we
do have it easier in a certain way.
Yeah, you do. I definitely think you do.
Yeah.
Not in all ways, but in a lot of ways you do.
Yeah.
And like I said, other sociologists said that about mass hysteria too. That it's like in a lot of situations where it happened, and it was largely women that it happened to. It was in situations where the women were like super really shit on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they didn't have any other way of getting out their stress. So let's kind of talk about a few examples of this type of shit. Now, probably one of the more famous ones, and it wasn't one, it was like several, and it happened over hundreds of years, were the dancing manias of the Middle Ages. Now, there were a shit ton of these, like in it was probably 300-400 year period.
Didn't Bosch paint these?
Yes.
I thought so.
Yeah.
A bunch of women dancing and, with things on their heads and stuff. And that's what he was talking about.
This is some crazy shit.
Yeah.
So what ended up happening, like I said, I don't want to focus too much on just one of them because there were a lot. But what this would be is that there would be people, not all of them were like this, but there would be like a group of people in a village. They would either live there or they would come there from somewhere else and would start dancing, and then other people would join them and they would just dance and dance and dance.
So
dance.
Burning Man.
Until they either dropped dead from heart attacks or exhaustion or whatever, or started breaking bones or things like that nature. They would just dance almost like they had no control over their bodies.
Weird.
So this was so common that there was a name for it. Paracelsus actually had a name for it. So they called it choreomania, I guess they called it. And then later it was called St. Vitus's dance or St. John's dance, because at first it was thought that it was some kind of curse put upon you by St. Vitus or St. John the Baptist. that just like would make you dance until you drop dead. Now, there was one that happened, there were some like in the 7th century. I think that was the earliest one. And actually, there was one before that happened in 1020 or thereabouts. And I believe that happened in Germany.
How many people witnessed to this?
Well, like I said, a lot of different writers have written about them. I know it's kind of hard to say, like, from the Middle Ages because, someone might just made some shit up.
Right.
But if other contemporary sources name the same thing and it wasn't just one person writing from another book and somebody just made it up, you know what I mean? But essentially, I think there were several contemporary writers that mentioned it that were, like, not related to one another, or, you know what I mean? So there were a whole bunch of them, like I said. A lot of them in Germany. Some happened in England. There was the Netherlands, stuff like that. Very large one took place in 1374 and then kind of spread outwards. This happened in, I believe it started in Aachen,
So
Germany,
they would just descend on a town and dance until they died or couldn't dance anymore?
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, so it was just like hours, days, weeks. They would just keep doing it, and then some more people would join them.
What was the explanation for the time? A curse?
Yeah, at the time. In the Middle Ages,
Now, the people dancing, what would they say? They believed it was a curse, too?
I'm not really sure. They said now a lot of them did kind of happen around like the Feast of St. Vitus and stuff like that. So it might have started out as kind of like a religious pilgrimage type thing. And they were just like maybe kind of expressing that through dance. And then other people joined in. Because one thing that a bunch of these dancing plagues had was that a lot of times the people that were dancing, like if people in the town like didn't want to participate, then the dancers would get really pissed off at them and would start like beating their asses and stuff. There was also some weird kind of things where they didn't like particular colors. Like they didn't like the color red in one case, or they didn't like the color black. So if they saw that color, then they would start beating that person up. So
in other words, you have like a rock concert style environment. Right. And a synergy builds up, this mass hysteria. They start forcing people to dance with them.
Yeah.
And picking certain people out of the crowd just on vague shit. Oh, he's wearing red, kill him, that type of deal.
Yeah, and it almost becomes like
a mob
mentality. And it keeps, like a feedback loop. And I think that might have been, and once a couple of them happened,
then they stuck in their idea
then it sticks in their mind that this is a thing.
That this is a thing, it could happen.
And then that's kind of what happened. Now, one of the ones that's kind of like a bigger, better known one, it even has its own Wikipedia page, happened in Strasbourg in 1518. And this one was started by one woman, evidently. Her name was Frau Trophea. And she just suddenly, one day, for shits and giggles, started dancing in the middle of the street of a village. 4 days later, she had 33 other people joining her.
It almost sounds like animal group behavior, like a flock of birds.
Maybe that's some kind of what I was thinking. It was almost like some kind of atavistic
some kind of throwback.
Yeah.
Maybe in DNA. And it's not really normal for humans, but it's something that maybe can be activated through maybe like some kind of extreme pressures in the environment.
Yeah.
Like society may have been so bad that there were a lot of people that were extremely unhappy and they didn't know why.
That's one of the main.
They don't even know that they were unhappy because it was normal to be in that level
because
of fucking
they didn't know any better.
Ignorance and poverty and weird.
There were plagues going on at the time, so
and
people were dying left and right.
And society wasn't rational. They had a bunch of weird religious beliefs and a bunch of weird folk lore that all conflicted with human nature. So it's a way of fucking going insane.
Yeah, I'm kind of leaning toward that.
They start destroying themselves because they're machines that don't work. A human is a living machine in many ways. Imagine if you built robots, all right, and then started programming the robots with corrupted programs. They might do weird stuff.
Yeah.
Of course they do.
And I think that's exactly what happened.
I mean, a computer malfunctions when it has bad stuff in it, and maybe that's what it was.
I mean, the human brain is amazing and generally pretty resilient, but if you expose it to negative stimuli for long enough, it
from
will
all
glitch
different
out.
directions,
it
and
will
then,
glitch out,
and then a bunch of conundrums and a bunch of what do you call it? Contradictions inside of its thinking system. Then
And that's like I said, that's
Sets
no
up, like,
judgment because anyone's would do that.
Yeah, mass mental illness.
Yeah.
Basically.
Because, and the thing about the dancing plagues, too, is that a lot of times, if this was indeed, if it started out as kind of like a religious observance that kind of just went wildly out of control, dancing, particularly dancing to particularly exhaustion, as you will know if you've ever been to a rave or anything like that, does cause a sort of like ecstasy.
Yeah.
And it's also notable that a lot of these happened, like I said, when things were very oppressive. A lot of the Middle Ages, there were plagues, there was widespread
It might be
poverty.
a substitute for fighting. They can't fight the authorities, so they just start dancing. It's
Yeah.
still...
It's something.
It's
they feel
still
like they're
something
doing
they
something.
can do. It's but that was all they could do because they couldn't fight.
Yeah. I think that might be a really big... I mean,
all the
all
social and
history,
religious, you know what I mean, pressure on them to behave a certain way. They just malfunctioned. They couldn't fight and burn the cities down and overthrow kings and shit like that, or tear the church down. They couldn't do that.
Right.
So they just danced themselves to
So
death.
they felt like that was the only recourse that they had. Like
must
I said.
have been something
and
like
I think
that.
that's probably a really big cause of this type of thing because it does tend to happen in times of extreme anxiety or, like I said, among people who feel like they don't have any power or control over their own life.
Well, they had a bad church, and the church was telling them what to do, and it was totalitarian. You couldn't overthrow it because they believed that they would go to hell.
Yeah, that's
So
what I
there's
mean.
no
and that's like
escaping
a
it.
contradictory. Yeah, there's no way out. There's nothing to do.
So that's probably what it. They had not only their minds captured, they had their souls captured in the afterlife. So it was a way of rebelling against their own slavery.
And maybe this particular one...
And they couldn't kill themselves. Suicide would send you to hell.
Right.
So this is a way.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
I mean, and maybe, like I said, perhaps this one that happened in Strasbourg in 1518, which started with one woman, as far as they know, and then a month later it was 400 people, all of whom were dancing, some of whom dropped dead from heart attacks because of the exhaustion, because they just went and didn't stop. That might be a thing where one woman just was like, fuck this, and she just glitched out.
Yeah.
And then a bunch of other people said, yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, they all started glitching out.
They just all started glitching out because they saw, oh, that's a possibility now. That's a way.
I'm feeling it now.
Yeah.
What you're talking about is a riot.
Yeah. Essentially.
But it's a weird way of executing a riot because they were so twisted into a knot so much. You know what I mean? They were their minds were twisted so much with a bunch of rules that they couldn't riot.
Yeah.
They couldn't overthrow things. They couldn't do this and that. So they just glitched out.
And it should be noted, too, that some of the dancing manias, it wasn't just dancing. Some of the people would strip their clothes off. They would start howling like animals. They would start having sex with each other.
Well, there you go.
Right. So they glitched out, and they just went back to like an atavistic, like an animalistic type of reaction, same way that...
It's a rebellion.
Yeah, that an animal would react when put under those same situations.
Right, and then it's all deniable. I wasn't rebelling, it was a curse.
Yeah, it was a demon or it was a curse or something like that. Right.
So it was all
deniable.
deniable.
I think, like I said, in the modern era, ones that happen nowadays, I think that's probably more a sense of, it was a virus or it was poison gas or something like that. Because, again, that's another way of letting out your stresses when you can't otherwise.
Right.
But attributing it to an outside source. So
Exactly.
it's not me, it wasn't my fault.
Right.
That I acted in that particular way.
Which, damn, that sounds like poltergeist.
That's what I mean. There's kind of an overlap.
Yeah.
It's a similar type of thing. Like I said, you get stressed out, people start glitching out and start acting in a way, in the only way that they know how that they can react to that sort of thing. But yeah, so there's...
They were probably having visions, too.
They think probably they were probably hallucinating. Like I said, it causes
revelations.
a sort of... Yeah.
It's almost kind of like an acid trip.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like a natural acid trip.
Right. Because the human brain can release all different kinds of serotonins and things like that. What's that? The DMT.
Yeah.
I think it's called DMT, right?
I'm not real sure.
It's kind of like an LSD. They take it.
Yeah. But yeah, that's a similar type of thing. And like I said, when I pointed out like shit about raves and things like that, this is something that will cause exhaustion and it will physically stress your body out, but it also causes a sort of euphoria.
I think that was their only escape.
Yeah. It might have been. And like I said, and like you said, they had plausible deniability afterward if they survived. So, like I said, there were a bunch of these in the Middle Ages. They had mostly died out by the 17th century. By the time
they start to modernize around
that's
that
what
time.
yeah, that's what I was going to say,
Right.
like right about the time of the Enlightenment and stuff
Right.
like that, when actually medical, stuff started to come more into the fore and people understood science a bit better. So it kind of went away. It's weird because in Italy, they had a specific type of dancing mania, and it was usually called Tarantism. And the symptoms were about the same, where people were dancing uncontrollably, but they attributed the cause to spiders or scorpions.
Dancing the tarantella.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. They thought that was the only way to get rid of it. That you'd get bitten by a spider or a scorpion, and you would have to dance to get the poison out of you. So it was like, it manifested itself the same, but the perceived cause was different, which I thought was kind of interesting. So that was like a whole different thing that just Italy had. So let's talk about a couple other ones. Just briefly, there was one I sort of have these in chronological order, more or less. There was also one that took place, and this was kind of like a socio-political one. This actually took place in 1688, and it was called the Irish Fright. And this was a mass panic, took place in December of 1688. This was during the Glorious Revolution in England. And this was when King James II, it was like the last few days of his regime, and he was trying to get out of the country. He was trying to go into exile in France. And so there were these armies with all these different factions fighting. And for some reason, there was a mass panic that Irish soldiers were just going all around England, just massacring people and just like burning down the villages and just all this other shit. And they were just traveling around doing all that.
Those damn Irish.
I know. And it was funny because it was really widespread. And it was just kind of like, there'd be a town in England, the Irish are coming, oh my God. It's like, they're just the next town away. And it went on for quite a while. And it was completely bullshit.
Yeah.
One person died, and it didn't even have anything to do with Irish people coming in or anything like that.
Little monkey people.
It was just, you know what I mean? It was just like, it's crazy how, particularly back then, and maybe it's even worse now because of like the way mass media is just everywhere because we all have the internet and stuff. Back then you just had to rely on somebody running into town and be like, the Irish are coming, oh my God, they're going to burn down your village, holy shit, get out of here, you know what I mean? So it was just kind of like that. But I thought that was really interesting that there was absolutely nothing to it. There was no Irish army coming, there was nothing. It was just
a mass panic.
It was just a mass panic that happened. And it burned itself out fairly quickly for whatever reason. I'm not really sure, but like I said, one dude died and it didn't really have anything to do with anything. Kind of sucked because there was a lot of, anti-Catholic sentiment going along with that and everything like that. I think I mentioned before shit about women in nunneries. There was a lot of mass panics. There's, more concentrated mass panics happened in those. Like I said, the most famous one in France where the woman started meowing like a cat and then all the other ones did. But similar kind of thing where in that case, they would usually say it was like demon possession and stuff if they started like swearing or acting out or
whenever you talk about these religious people having mass panics, it always reminds me of some of those things that I read in that Mysteries of the Unexplained book that I bought where people would be somewhere in Mexico and they would swear to God, like a group of 1,000 people, that the sun was flashing and that they saw, on the top of the church, Jesus appeared. And evidently, thousands of people would see this.
Yeah, I read a little bit about that one, actually. There's been a couple of those.
Yeah, and I don't know if those crowds ever existed or if somebody just wrote that thousands of people saw that the sun was flashing and moved all around
Although the power of suggestion is pretty strong, it's like, I imagine if you got a group of particular people that were particularly prone to believe in that type of thing and you got them all together and like got them hyped up enough.
Especially if they got them hyped up and they made them look at the sun.
You could make them see some shit that wasn't there.
Maybe they were looking at the sun too long and
started going blind.
No, and they believed that it was flashing.
And they believed that it was flashing just because they were getting that
because they were looking at it. I don't know. Weird.
That could totally happen.
And then they look at the church and they think they see Jesus on top.
Because their eyeballs just got burned out.
Yeah.
They're probably seeing all kind of shit.
But did that happen, or did somebody just write that happened?
See,
that's what I never really know.
I know.
You never really can't tell.
Yeah, and honestly, at this stage, particularly stuff that happened back then, it was too long ago. There's no way of knowing. Because like I said, how many times have we come across, some quote-unquote paranormal story, some weird story, and then you find out later on that the earliest instance of it was just like a fictional story that somebody wrote a joke or somebody just wrote it as a fictional, like a short story, and then somebody picked it up and ran with it, and now suddenly everybody thinks it really happened.
Yeah, like tunneling through the mountain and finding the dinosaurs.
Right, exactly. It
didn't happen. Somebody just wrote that. And it was repeated as if it was news.
And sometimes people would write things, you know, for newspapers and stuff like that. And they were, at the time, they were understood to be satirical.
Yeah.
But over the years, as our senses of humor changed and, you know, our writing style changed, we don't recognize it as satire anymore. So we take it as though somebody really reported that.
I read that pterodactyl story. You know, the guys making the train
tunnel. Yeah, that's what
tunnel.
I was thinking of.
And
we
they
mentioned
found
that
the
on one of
pterodactyl.
our
They found a stalactite, and when they touched it, it broke off, and they realized it was a dried up pterodactyl that tried to flap its wings and leave, and then it died. And when it hit the sunlight, it started to fall apart. And I read that as 15, 16 years old, and I thought that had really happened for many years. And I was like, man, I guess there are some ways where a pterodactyl could be slightly preserved. You know what I mean? But it turned out, and because it says in the story, it was witnessed by hundreds of people. But you could write that you could write you could write anything.
I
in
could
this
write
story.
any bullshit I wanted.
They could write that a million people saw it.
Everybody saw it.
Everybody saw the shit.
Well, yeah, that story you telling me that story was the whole inspiration for our Toad in the Hole, like the Fortean archaeology episode.
Yeah, we did a whole show on that.
It was hard to find the original source for that, but I found the original source.
I kind of walked around thinking that well, they don't know about this.
It was a satire.
Yeah, they don't know about this, but no, they did find a pterodactyl. Yeah, and they were digging.
I know, right? All right, so I have like a bunch more cases that I want to talk about, but it's getting a little past the halfway point. So let's take a break at the moment. We'll all run around and go make a sandwich or whatever you want to do, and we'll be back in a few minutes and talk about some more cases of mass hysteria.
Okay, everybody, Jenny's got some new shirt designs up, 4 of them. Really good ones, too. Atlanta Ripper, Who Put Bella in the Witch Elm, the H.H. Holmes Murder Castle, and of course, Demon Child, because man said he could. These are updated designs. I think they look really cool. Jenny did a great job on them. Were they fun making, Jenny?
They were very fun, and thank you very much. I think they came out very good.
Yeah, they get really good. They're very high quality shirts. Jenny and I wear our own shirts at certain times when we're trying to put a spotlight on ourselves, and you can put a spotlight on yourselves. If you go ahead and pick up one of these shirts today, you guys are going to love them. Links in the description, www.zazzle.com at 13 o'clock.
Yeah, so go check out our store at www.zazzle.com/13o'clock. We got these 4 cool new t-shirt designs, plus all our old ones if you'd rather get one of the old ones. But these ones are awesome, and you should check them out.
They're also available in women's cut, and they look really cute. Jenny's got some.
So thank you. Go check them out. Okay, we're back talking about cases of mass hysteria throughout history. Now, there was another spate of sort of localized mass hysteria outbreaks during the Industrial Revolution and a little bit further past, when people were kind of crammed together in factories and, didn't have a lot of rights, didn't have a lot of vacation time or anything like that. So there was a lot of them that happened in that kind of situation also. These mostly happened across Europe and the United States, also in Singapore a little bit. There were actually 6 outbreaks of them in Singapore factories. This was actually in the 1970s. And a lot of the workers started displaying really strange, psychosomatic, I guess you could call it, symptoms. They would go into like trances. They would start screaming or, acting out, like acting generally violent. They would start feeling like really cold, really numb, really dizzy, that type of thing. The thing about this, and I think sociologists have said this too, that it's like the more you legitimize these types of things, like in the media, or if they bring somebody in to deal with it, it tends to make it worse. Because what they did in these cases of the Singapore outbreaks in these factories was they would bring in a medicine man to kind of alleviate or like exorcise it of the genie that they thought was causing it. And that tended to make it worse because it was like legitimizing their fears, that it really existed. So that tended to make it worse. So generally, and they kind of brought this up too during the whole clown scare and that kind of thing. They're like, the more the media hypes on it, the worse it gets.
That just reminds me of my gas leak.
Yeah.
If you think you have a gas leak in your house, you're going to keep smelling gas.
Yeah.
There's no gas leak in the house.
Right.
I've had it happen.
Yeah, it does happen.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's easy to do. And like I said,
Right.
people are, most people are very suggestible. And it's like if somebody just insists that it's
Right.
like, do you smell that? I smell smoke. I smell this.
Yeah.
I smell poison gas.
You might start smelling it.
You might start smelling it too,
Yeah.
just because, that it's like a survival instinct,
You're right.
really, because, if bad shit was going to happen to the person in the next cave, you needed to know about that shit.
Right.
You know what I mean? He's like, I thought I heard a tiger. You better fucking think there's really a tiger there, otherwise your ass is going to get eaten. So you can see why that happens. It's just in the modern era, it kind of, a lot of times not so good, because a lot of times it's not danger. There's no danger. It's fine. But, your body reacts as if there is. There was another kind of famous one. This actually took place in 1962, and this happened in North Carolina. And it was a textile mill that had predominantly female employees.
Bitches be crazy.
Yeah, again. They call this the June bug outbreak because all of these women, it ended up being 62 women that were affected. They started having symptoms that their skin would break out in rashes and they would start nausea, vomiting, that type of thing. Now, they initially thought that it was an insect or a bug that was biting them, that had come in on the latest shipment of fabrics and was biting them and making them sick. Now, they did actually bring in, health officials and things like that to check because they said, that's not crazy. That's not like without the realm of possibility. That could totally happen. There could be something going on in here. Could be a gas leak. Could be lots of things.
Might be some kind of thing from the dye making you.
Right. It could have been that. Now, but they didn't
reaction.
find anything. So they kind of classed this as a case of mass hysteria. They did note that of the 62 people that were affected, 59 of them were women. Most of them thought that they had been bitten by this particular bug that had come in with the fabric. So, it was an insect, infestation is what they thought it was. But like I said, they couldn't find any insects. They couldn't really find any organic cause for it. But they did note that most of the women that were affected were the women that were most likely to work overtime. They were the women most likely to deny that they were tired or deny that they had problems or anything like that. Most of them had children at home that they were raising. Most of them were also the main breadwinners for their families and the main child care, person that would do all the child care.
Lots of stress.
So they were under a great deal of stress. And again, this is not to preclude, like I said, there very well may have been an organic cause in this particular case. It's just that officials could not find one.
It may have been an allergic reaction to something that was in there.
And that's something that I don't really think that they would necessarily find with this type of...
Not back then.
Not back then. Because, that's the thing. It's like, it's just kind of like, do you remember that case? And I can't remember where it happened. I feel like it happened in, I don't know, New York, Pennsylvania, something like that. With that woman that came in and she had, I believe it was cervical cancer. And they brought her into the ER.
Oh, the woman that poisoned it?
Yeah, and then like everybody started passing out.
Yeah.
And I think
didn't somebody die?
Yeah, I think they did actually.
I think one or two of the people that dealt with her died. She was given off some kind of poison.
And the thing is, it's like at the time that happened, I think they initially thought that was a case of mass hysteria because it was a bunch of nurses in the room, and like not everybody passed out. Like it only affected a few, some of the people, and not everybody. So
we got to do a show about that.
Obviously, yeah. But I think in the end, they did find out that there was an organic cause to it. There was a reason for it, or there was like a plausible reason why it might.
I think, she had cancer, but I think from just out of memory, from what I remember of it, wasn't there some kind of possibility that certain kinds of poisonous gases or some kind of a disease was in her, and when they cut open her stomach or she vomited something up, I don't remember, and the gases, it could have spread some kind of a toxin.
Yeah,
like
I think
a
it was
neurotoxin.
Some kind of, I think it was some kind of chemical reaction.
Some kind of weird neurotoxin that killed a couple people, made a bunch of them sick.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know if they actually proved it definitively, but I have seen things that said that it was a plausible scenario.
Yeah.
Like why? Because like I said, initially I think they thought it was mass hysteria because not everyone was affected equally.
I remember it was something kind of weird, like she gave off a chemical that was a neurotoxin. It wasn't.
Right.
It wasn't a.
That's what. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
It wasn't a bacteria. It wasn't a virus. It was some kind of a chemical that was like a nerve agent.
Yeah.
And her body had somehow produced it.
Yeah. But yeah, a similar thing happened. This actually happened in a town, like a university town, which is unnamed in the Midwest somewhere. This happened in 1974. Again, like in an office environment or like in a working environment. So there were 39 workers there, and 10 of them started having specific symptoms: dizziness, fainting, vomiting, nausea, that type of thing. And they perceived that it was some kind of gas, like they had been gassed. Again, they brought in the health officials. Officials couldn't find anything, so they termed it a case of mass hysteria. Again, noting that the 10 people that were affected were all young women. They were all putting their husbands or boyfriends through college, so they were kind of the main breadwinners at the time. And they also were the ones that hated their job the most.
Some of these bitches be crazy, but they help a man. You know what I'm talking about?
Even crazy bitches can
crazy
help you
bitches that put you through college and everything.
Right?
Yeah.
Even though they're fucking, they have to work in some
they got to work in a
crappy
sweatshop.
ass sweatshop and have fucking stress disorders.
Yeah,
Thanks,
and
man.
then you go to college and come back and tell her to shut up.
Yeah, that's probably exactly.
Yeah.
And she probably
Get in there
knew
and
that.
do them dishes.
She probably knew that on some
Yeah,
level.
yeah. Go in there.
She knew that she's like, I'm working in the shitty factory. Then he gets out of college and I'm
Goes to
stuck
college,
in the
comes
house
back, yeah.
having babies.
Yeah.
And like cleaning all his fucking underwear and shit like that. And it's like, that'll be my life till I die.
Yeah,
They're just like, I'm just gonna pass out and get. They didn't
even have laundry machines back then.
That's what I mean.
You had to do that shit by hand.
Well, yeah, you had to do pretty much everything by hand. Like until they had.
It would take all day to do laundry.
Of course it would.
Yeah.
It's like now, it's like, even I hate to do it now, but it's like you just throw it in there. I don't like folding it. That's what I don't like.
We fold that shit together.
I know. I don't like. And
baby Cookie jumps in the pile.
Oh my god.
When
she sees me coming back from the laundry room
she
with
got
the
hot
basket,
laundry.
She's like,
oh, she pours it on the bed and she goes right into the pile.
She dies.
We sound pitiful and shit with our cat as a surrogate child and shit. You know what I mean? That's like some millennial stuff.
She's way awesome.
Millennials don't have babies; they just have cats. But we're not millennials. We're X generation.
Yeah, but cats are better than babies.
Yeah.
They're quieter. You can leave them alone for a time. You know what I mean? That they don't need constant monitoring. They're fine. So
a lot cheaper.
They're a lot cheaper. You don't have to put them through college.
They don't come back.
So
and
I get
accuse
it.
you
I
of
get
anything.
it. I don't pick on millennials, man. I don't pick on millennials.
They're evolutionary dead ends, though. That's the problem.
Every generation is the same, and every generation is like, these kids today, blah, blah, blah. And I always told myself, I'm not going to be that crotchety old fart that for the last 2,000, because I think even fucking Socrates or Plato said some shit, too, about, these kids today, blah, blah, blah. So it's like, it's been going on for thousands of years. It's like... No generation's worse than any other generation. Everybody goes through the same shit.
I think millennials are evolutionary dead ends. I don't think they'll ever have kids. I don't think they'll...
A lot of them are having kids.
I think they'll die out.
No,
we'll see.
A lot of them are having kids.
I've heard that
just like the...
I've heard that Generation Z are kind of hardcore, though, that they're kind of like X-Gen. They were like us.
Now, I mean, there are some generalizations that I think are true. Are Gen Xers more cynical and crabby? Yeah. I found that. Not everybody, obviously.
We were more free than millennials, though. Millennials believe in rules that don't matter, if you ask me, in general. Do what the fuck you want to do. do whatever the fuck you
within
want
reason,
to do.
as long
within
as
reason,
as long as what you want to do isn't like cutting other people's heads off or
Yeah.
something like that. You know
well,
what I mean?
unless they
I'm
deserve
just
it. Unless they deserve it.
I'm just hoping that nobody listens to this really wants to cut
Do
other
whatever the
people's
fuck
heads
you
off.
want to do.
All right. All right. So now let's go to 1938, and this was the case of the Halifax Slasher. Now, this was very similar to the case that we talked about on one of the other shows that we did about the Mad Gasser of Mattoon, where it's like, it's possible that one thing happened, but then, like, the more people heard about it, the more people were like, yeah, that guy, he's everywhere. You know what I mean? So that type of thing. So it was that kind of mass hysteria, not like an illness or anything. But so this happened in November of 1938. Now, the first woman, or actually it was two women. It was a woman named Mary Gledhill and a woman named Gertrude Watts. Now, they said that they had been attacked, I guess, like slashed at with like a knife or a razor by a guy with who was holding a mallet and had quote unquote bright buckles on his shoes. Did this attack happen for real? Maybe, maybe not. They're not really sure. This is the first one. However, when that was reported in the media, suddenly everybody was getting attacked by this dude. So they thought that this guy was just like going around slashing at people, even though I think, like I said, they said mallet, but later on it kind of morphed into like knife or razor.
But nobody got hurt.
So yeah, and they found
Sounds
out
like the
later
Mad
on,
Gasser.
That's what I said. Yeah,
Yeah.
I just said that that this was very similar to the Mad Gasser attack, which,
Yeah.
like I said, the initial kind of incident very well might have happened. I mean,
Kind of like Spring Hill Jim too.
Spring Hill
Jack.
Spring Hill
Spring
Jim
Jack.
is the Morrissey song.
Yes, right. Yeah. Spring Hill Jack was pretty good
Spring
though.
Hill Jack, yeah.
That was the British. That was the steampunk Batman.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's like, I feel like in these cases of mass hysteria, as I said, that's not to say, was there a guy walking around slashing people? I can believe that because, look, I write true crime, and worse shit than that happens every goddamn
But was
day.
anybody cut?
Well, a couple people were,
Yeah.
but they did find out that later on, some people that had scratches had come from other things. One guy did it to himself.
Yeah.
He admitted later on.
Yeah, it's fishy to me.
Shit like that. So like I said, did the first attack happen? Might have. The subsequent ones, they're pretty sure did not. So it was just kind of a case of maybe something happened and then everybody just took it crazy out of control.
Sounds like
just,
Mothman.
Yeah, well, just like the Mad Gasser, where it's like, the initial incident might have happened. Yeah, maybe some crazy guy like tried to gas somebody. It's like weird shit like that happens. Like I said, I write true crime. Horrible shit happens all the time randomly. So I'm not discounting the fact that the first one might not have happened, but then the subsequent ones after that, everybody said, hey, yeah, that happened to me too, and all this other kind of stuff. So I think that's kind of what
I think
that
Spring
was.
Hill Jim, though.
Spring Hill Jack.
Jack.
Why do you keep
I
doing
did it again.
that?
I think Spring Hill Jack actually did happen, though. I think that was some steampunk kid figured out parkour.
Yeah.
I
think we talked about that.
talked
on the
about
show.
that. It
He's like,
sounds
"This'll
like
blow their
it
minds."
sounds like something a guy in his late teens, early 20s would do.
That does sound like something.
I'm gonna dress
I mean,
up in this
yeah,
shit.
that
I'm
would
gonna
be
put
fun.
this mask on and I'm gonna jump
To
around.
go, like,
and
scare
jump
the
around.
roofs
Yeah,
and
yeah,
shit.
yeah.
Although it might end up biting you in the ass, because I think that does happen. Because I think in this case, the problem was that this panic, like I said, it was in the town of Halifax, it was in England. It kind of got so out of hand that mobs were like finding people in the street going, he's the slasher. Boom, boom,
Yeah,
boom, and
yeah,
they were just like
beating
beating the shit out of him.
Right.
Now, some people did get arrested, but they got arrested for like falsifying reports and things like that. Like after this whole, because the whole thing only lasted about a week or two. And then the newspaper finally came out and said,
There's
you
no
guys,
slasher.
No,
Yeah.
okay, everybody calm down. It's like it wasn't there. It's like a bunch of the shit was just so settled down. So, and then it just kind of deflated. But yeah, so I also want to talk a little bit about, now I have to mention the quote-unquote War of the Worlds panic with Orson Welles and his radio show and everything like that.
I'm skeptical
even
of
though,
this. I'm
well,
skeptical
even
of the panic.
though it's pretty much established that the whole, everybody was like freaking out and thinking it was really Martians and like running from their homes and arming themselves and stuff. That was wildly exaggerated.
Really exaggerated.
Wildly exaggerated. And the newspapers exaggerated it too, just to sell copies and because it was good press. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the newspapers made it seem like it was a panic.
Made it seem like it was a big panic. Now,
Yeah.
did some people like actually think it was real for a short time? They do think, that some people did think it was really happening. But then as they listened to it, they were just kind of like, oh, I got you. I mean, they did make it sound like a real news report.
Yeah, it was like reality radio.
But the thing is, it's like they had said at the beginning of the show
that it was a show.
That it was a show. That it was a radio show. That it wasn't real.
And some of the stuff is happening so quickly. How could you think? You know what I mean? Like, okay, and we return to our normal broadcasting. There's like 10 seconds of a song, and then it comes back in. They're on the other side of the planet.
Yeah,
you know what I'm talking about? They're on the other side of the United States. Oh, and the walking machines are coming, and look at the people are running, and the laser beams, and they're burning up. It's fire. Oh, the humanity.
Well, that was the thing that really did happen. But yeah, so like I said, I just thought I had to mention that because that's a case that gets brought up in a lot of not very well researched cases of mass hysteria throughout history, even though that was really not for real a hysteria. Like not it, even if some people, like I said, briefly did believe it was real, it was wild.
And that shit launched Orson Welles to the fucking stars. He
might have been behind some of that shit.
Yeah,
that's like some early viral marketing.
I think he encouraged a lot of that because then he came out all me. Ladies and gentlemen, I know my shit is so good. You guys believed it. You know what I mean? And then the next thing you know, he's like a huge star.
Can you think, like, as an artist, can you think how
awesome
that would be to like think that my shit is so good that people thought it
was real.
Really
yeah, that's what he.
Because you'd be like,
Wells knew how to play that shit.
You'd feel kind of bad, like especially if people got hurt or something. Yeah. But deep down, you'd be going, yes.
Unbeknownst to most people, evidently, fucking Wells evidently had quite a way with the ladies.
I think everybody's heard that.
Yeah, he had quite a way with the ladies. They say that if he walked into any of those Hollywood clubs, this is like back in the golden era, you know what I mean, of Hollywood, back when Hollywood was fucking awesome. They said he would walk into some of those bars, right, and it was just women.
Yeah. He was a chick magnet.
He was just a little big guy.
You know what though? I have to say, because I have some pictures of him, and I was like looking for some that I was going to put in the video because I knew I was going to talk about this a little bit. He was a good-looking fella back in the day. I mean,
even when he got fat, he had power.
Well, it's that voice.
Yeah.
He has such a great gravitas. He has like a really good. He has a lot of charisma. Yeah. And but like I said, he was a good-looking dude back in the day.
And The Man Who Saw Tomorrow, that movie, they'd played that thing on rotation.
I saw that
on
so many
HBO.
times.
That motherfucker had me mesmerized.
Even though it's like the
turban and the tiger,
ever. But it's like you watch
bringing
Orson
fire
Welles.
down on the new city.
It's Orson Welles, so you buy it.
Oh yeah, you go. Oh, that shit's gonna happen.
Oh shit.
That shit's gonna happen.
I believe it. Orson Welles said it. I believe it. Ooh, now that was like I just thought of something. It's like Orson Welles said it. I believe it. Maybe that's why they had him do that. Because they said, people will believe it if you say it, because they believe that War of the Worlds shit that you read back in 1938.
Of course. Oh, of course. Of course.
They'll believe anything you say, Orson.
Anything you say. There is no wine before it's time. Remember that shit he said?
Yeah.
Bitch will sell you some cheap California wine in a heartbeat.
It was, and you'd think you were all fancy and shit.
Shit, man. This shit's fancy as fuck.
Right. Power of like his personality, man.
Yeah,
it's like power of celebrity.
Yeah, you have to be our generation to understand it. They had this whole series of commercials. It was Gallo.
Shit. What was it?
I don't remember what the name.
It wasn't Martini and Rossi, was it? No.
And they had these commercials on television for this wine. It was just regular old California
like late 70s,
wine.
early 80s.
And Orson Welles was so slick. He'd sell you this wine. It was like it was some fine shit from France, and it was like 100 years old. No, it was like from last month, made up in fucking San Bernardino.
Yeah, of
you know
course.
what I mean? And it was, and it wasn't expensive. It was cheap shit.
I feel like wine.
It was good. It was okay though.
It was alright. I had some. It's perfectly serviceable. I don't know hardly anything about wine. I do think that a lot of the shit about wine though is
just California wine.
Is hype and
what's funny is it was in those days the California wine was all grown by Japanese farmers.
Yeah.
Because back right before the Second World War, California got inundated by Japanese immigrants, and that's what they did. They set up those grape fields and made wine. Yeah. And they give them all these Italian names and shit. In Spanish, Martini and Rossi and Asti Spumante and all that kind of shit.
I remember that one.
Japanese guys making that shit.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
That's all right.
They knew what they were doing. They knew what they were doing.
They could make wine too. It was perfectly good.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's all about the packaging. Mm-hmm. You just expect wine to be like French or Italian or whatever.
Yeah, it's Japanese California wine.
Yeah, it's like if you gave wine. Well, nowadays you could do it, but back then, if you gave wine a Japanese name, people would be like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah. Back in those days, if it said made in Japan, it was cheap.
Yeah, like I said, it was all about the perception of.
Yeah. It was like that'd be like saying made in Pakistan.
Yeah.
Something like
that. Nowadays, but like I said, it kind of goes right. So let's talk, since we're talking kind of about War of the Worlds too, let's talk about the first wave of flying saucer sightings. Now, this is interesting because this happened in 1947, and pretty much the whole perception of UFOs as quote-unquote flying saucers comes from one dude. And this dude was Kenneth Arnold.
Yeah.
Who in June 1947 was flying his little plane in Washington State near the Cascade Mountains when he saw what he reported as 9 glittering objects flying in like a formation. Yeah. Near Mount Rainier. Yep. Now, he specifically did not say that they looked like saucers.
No, he said they looked like flying Vs.
He said that their movement was like a saucer skipping on the water. Yeah. That's what he said, that the movement was like that. He didn't say that they looked like saucers. Yeah. However, when the media reported it, they reported, quote-unquote, flying saucers. Yeah. And, not surprisingly, after this story ran in 1947, suddenly everybody that saw a UFO said it looked like a flying saucer. Even though there had been like isolated reports of like seeing a saucer-like thing. But there were only like a couple. Yeah. But after 1947, when that story came out, suddenly every single UFO looked like
He said they look like crescent moons or crescent or maybe like a flying V, which that makes a lot of sense.
And honestly, at the time, he did not think... He reported it because he thought it was like enemy aircraft. Yeah. He didn't think it was space aliens.
There's a couple explanations for that. They may have been testing the prototypes of the Sabre jet in that area. And the Sabre jets kind of had a swept wing design. And maybe from a distance, if the light was hitting it the right way, you wouldn't see the fuselage. You'd just see those swept back wings, which was unusual for that time. And it may have kind of looked a little bit like a moon crescent shape from a distance. Another thing is that there were flying wing aircraft at this time. You know, the Germans had the Horten, the Horten X-19, I think is what it was called, and it was a swept wing kind of flying V jet. Yeah. And we had stolen it captured it from the Germans, and we had it back here in the United States. It's now in the Smithsonian. Maybe we made a quick copy of a flying V, flying wing jet. They're not that hard to make. Yeah. Okay. And the United States had shit tons of money and really good designers and lots of labor. You know, Lockheed Martin. We could have made, a dozen of those things just in a matter of months to test them. You know, you could back in those days, you could make a jet quick. You know what I mean? Not like today where you have a contract, takes 10 years to bring the shit to fruition. They'd make a brand new aircraft in a matter of months, back in those days. So I think maybe he saw some kind of test craft. Yeah. Although I'm going to lean more towards something kind of like the Sabre jet. Yeah. You know what I mean? Probably not a flying wing, because our guys knew about flying wings. Jack Northrop was making them. It might have been a Jack Northrop design,
And like I said, it should be noted, too, that this particular guy, like I said, he didn't report it as space aliens or UFO. He thought it was
exotic craft.
Enemy aircraft or something like that, so he thought he'd better report it. Also, he was not military. He was a civilian.
I think he had military experience, though, didn't he?
He might have. He very well may have.
Maybe he did.
But if you saw something unusual in the sky, you'd report it, right?
He just saw some unusual craft. I think they were probably some kind of test craft jets. I think that's what he saw.
I think this is kind of the similar situation to where people suddenly started seeing big-headed, big-eyed gray aliens after that TV movie that everybody saw that came out in like 1950, whatever it was. You know what I mean? Before that, like descriptions of aliens were like all over the place, but after that, it kind of codified into.
Doesn't mean that there are no flying saucers though, because later on, both the United States and the Soviet made things that were disc-shaped. Yeah. We made a little, like a hovercraft fake Jeep. There's films of this famous thing. It didn't really work that well. Yeah, the really Soviets were working with another thing that was kind of a wingless aircraft that you could kind of say it was a flying saucer. It was kind of stubby for a flying saucer. It was kind of tall and fat looking thing. But it didn't really have a wing. It was a lifting body. And it was also, if I remember correctly, amphibious. You could land it on water and take off from water, and it was a weird lifting body thing. And it was from the 60s. If you saw that flying through the sky, or a prototype of that flying through the sky, and you didn't know what you were looking at, you'd go, yeah, that's something from another fucking planet.
Well, yeah, because if you
back
didn't
in those
know
days,
that that's what they were working on. If you were just some person like working on a farm out in Iowa or something, you don't know about that shit.
I mean, even you can go into the 50s, you know, your average person may not really, well, I guess by the 50s they knew what a jet was.
Yeah.
But late 40s, no, the average person really wasn't sure what a jet was. They expected all aircraft to have propellers and
to look like a particular
straight wings on it, you know. The swept-back wings would have been impressive, you know, delta wing, you know.
And like you said, when you're seeing something unexpected, your memory is probably not as reliable.
Yeah, I've had that experience
you've
myself.
told that story before.
Yeah, many times on the show. I saw a jet when I was at OP 311. Actually, no, I was at South Camp at that time in Egypt, the U.S. Army, and watched an Egyptian aircraft come in for a landing because my guard tower was watching their airport. And it happened so fast, man. I thought it was some kind of an exotic military jet. They asked me to describe it, and I just said, man, I can't describe it. I think it would look like a Learjet, kind of like camouflaged. We got to go in there and look at it. It was something military. And I saw it for a good 5, 6, 7 seconds. But I just couldn't remember exactly what it looked like. It startled me. So we hopped in the vehicle, went down there and looked at it. It was a C-130 painted orange.
Yep.
Big old cargo
Completely
plane.
Different.
Yeah. Paint an orange C-130.
Well, and that's the thing. I was talking to somebody on YouTube about this very thing, where it's like sometimes like we see movies like back in the 70s and 80s and remember particular scenes in them that happened, or remember like liking something, not liking it. Then you see it later and it's like completely different than what you remembered. Memory is not accurate.
I think Kenneth Arnold saw some jets.
Yeah.
That's all I think it was.
I'm
saw
sure
some jets from a distance. They were flying funny.
Yeah.
In formation.
Yeah, and he just thought he'd report it because he
wow.
didn't know what they were. So he's like, well, this might be bad. It might be enemy aircraft.
Air Force jets.
All right, so the next one is, and a lot of people have heard about this one, the very famous Tanganyika Laughter Epidemic of 1962. Now, this started out, the nation is obviously called Tanzania nowadays, but it actually started out in one school in January of 1962. It was a mission boarding school for girls, and these 3 girls, for whatever reason, I don't know if they told a joke and that shit was really funny, and they all started laughing, and then it eventually started spreading throughout the school. Now, over, the ensuing days, it affected almost 100 of the 159 girls at this school. Like, everybody just started laughing uncontrollably. I think they had some other symptoms too, like fainting, dizziness, flatulence.
What?
was one of the ones.
Damn.
So it's like, I don't know how common that was, but that was something that I saw mentioned. That was like another
What are they
symptom.
eating over there?
I don't know. But yeah, so all the girls were between 12 and 18 years old. It was like a mission run, like a high school. So these girls would just like laugh for hours at a time or sometimes days at a time. And then it started spreading outward, like to other towns and other schools, because some of the girls that went to this school like lived in another town. So when they went back home and were still laughing, so then it started affecting other people in the village, and it eventually spread outward until it was affecting students at 14 schools. Now the first school where this started, they had to shut it down because they're like, the girls they're just laughing and acting crazy, and like some of them were breaking out and crying, like hysterical crying and stuff like that, and no one could concentrate.
What year was this again?
1962.
Tanzania. Yeah, well, developing country.
Well, yeah, that's one of the things that they usually say. This actually, like I said, this ended up affecting about 1,000 people over this particular area. Now, what they think maybe the underlying cause of it was, again, probably stress-induced, because Tanganyika at the time had just won independence. Their home lives were still very, very conservative, very regimented, but the schools were starting to open up more, like teaching them kind of more progressive values and things like that. So there was kind of that conflict going on, like within their own minds. Also, the education started to get more, not necessarily stringent, but they had higher expectations of the girls.
Yeah.
They were trying to
get them to learn.
They were trying to, get higher grades out of them and things like that. So they think that all of these things kind of happening in tandem sort of caused these girls to react in
these conflicts.
Right. So they think that was probably one of the underlying causes of that. But it went on for quite a long time. It went on for months and months, in various towns and various schools until it finally burned out. Similar thing happened at another girls' school. This happened in Blackburn, England, in October of 1965. And this happened, same kind of thing. Like a couple girls started complaining they were dizzy. They started passing out. There were only a few of them at first, but then about 85, 90 girls were affected in the end. Now, they were actually taken to the hospital because they thought something was legit wrong with them. Like, there was some kind of gas leak or something like that because all these girls just started passing out. Some of them had other things, like they'd start moaning or their teeth would start chattering uncontrollably, shit like that. So they go to find out what the cause of it might be, if there was some kind of physical cause, and they couldn't find anything. Like they thought maybe there was a gas leak or there was food poisoning or something like that, and they couldn't find anything. So, and again, this is a type of thing where it started with the older girls. It actually started with the 14-year-olds and then kind of went down and affected the younger ones.
Closer to puberty.
Yeah, well, that too. Plus, the younger ones were like, oh, well, the older girls are doing it, so that's the cool thing to do. Like I said, not consciously, right. But, that's kind of what they did. Them. Now, in this particular case, and this is kind of unusual, they gave all the girls that were affected, they gave them these sort of like, personality tests and things of that nature. They said almost all the girls affected had quite high scores in extroversion and also in neuroticism. They said, now that's like, some people have the perception that that's true of all mass hysteria cases, but that's not the case.
In other words, bitches be crazy.
Yeah, but they said in this particular case that did happen. Like, these girls did test higher in extroversion. They had more friends, more larger social circle, and also tested higher in neuroticism, and those were the girls affected. So they think maybe
sounds a lot like a witch panic, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, like I said, it's the same mechanism.
Like,
it just manifests itself different in different times, in different cultures. Manifests itself different. Another one that happened in England, this actually happened in 1980. Now, this was called the Hollinwell Incident. And this one has been featured on a lot of kind of 40 and Times or like paranormal shows and stuff like that. It's kind of like government cover-up type of shit. Now, this happened, like I said, it was July 1980. And there were all these kids like coming to Hollinwell Showground. It was like a band competition. The little marching bands and stuff. So they all get there about 9 a.m. Now, a lot of the people that were there noted, a lot of the kids had come from a long way. They were tired. They were under a lot of anxiety because they were going to be performing, in a competition and stuff like that. So there was a lot of stress in the area. Now, at about an hour and a half after everybody got there, all these kids that were like in the bands just started like fainting. Okay. Now, one witness said just all these kids started falling down. So the quote was, the children were falling down like 9 pins. They all just start dropping. So, they also, some started throwing up. They started getting sore throats. They started getting dizzy, stuff like that.
Because they see it happen to other people, say where it happens. They're worrying that it's going to happen to them, so it does happen.
Yeah, that's a factor.
Yeah.
Now, they asked one of the girls that was affected, and she actually said, and this is her quote, "My legs and arms felt as if they had no bones in them."
Yeah.
And she also complained about a headache.
Yeah.
Now, this actually ended up affecting 300 people. Now, it wasn't just kids, which is something that I find kind of interesting. Adults were also affected. Also, babies were affected.
What?
Which kind of makes me think
maybe there was some kind of gas.
That this might not be mass hysteria because a baby would not know.
Wouldn't know.
You know what I mean? So I'm kind of feeling like maybe this
Wait. How was a baby affected?
No, I'm just saying, same kind of thing. Babies got sick or babies, I don't know. But they just said babies were affected also. Now, a bunch of the people were taken to hospitals. 9 of the kids were actually kept overnight for observation. So even though, like I said, they kind of went through and says maybe it's food poisoning, maybe this, that, and the other, because they do kind of try to find a physical cause when this happens, because sometimes it is. I mean, sometimes, like I said, it's foodborne illness or some kind of gas or something. No, I don't think anybody complained about that. Now, what they kind of established, like I said, later on, they said, okay, it was mass hysteria. We didn't find anything. However, a lot of the people that experienced it think that, and some researchers think that it might have been a nearby pesticide, particularly this pesticide called tridomorph. Now, tridomorph had actually been banned in Britain in 2000. That was like later on. But they do think that there might have been some pesticide containing that was sprayed nearby.
Okay, look, pesticide is basically nerve agent.
Yeah.
It's just tailored to insects. It's a nerve agent that mammals aren't affected by. Nausea, vomiting, weakness, shortness of breath, and sometimes loss of muscle control is the signs of nerve agent poisoning.
Yeah.
maybe that might have been
Yeah.
slight nerve agent poisoning from that.
Yeah. I mean, that to me seems kind of plausible.
Yeah.
Like I said,
there is a plausibility.
the fact that they did say that like babies were also affected
Right.
kind of makes me think that maybe, although like I said, officials were like,
Some
well, we didn't find anything.
Some insecticides that have been banned kind of had slight nerve agent effects.
Which is why they got
Which is
banned.
why they banned them. So.
But yeah, so like I said,
Could be that you might have it. There.
This pesticide was actually banned later on because
Right,
this
okay.
happened in 1980. It was banned in 2000.
Yeah.
So there is speculation that this might not be mass hysteria. That there was actually some pesticide that contained this this particular pesticide, and it actually affected some of the people at this particular showground. So that one, I had to mention it because it comes up a lot on paranormal stuff, but I'm kind of leaning toward maybe that was like a pesticide or like a poison gas. Now let's talk a little bit about, I want to talk about the clown sightings, and then I want to talk about the penis disappearing. Because I said I'm going to save that until last.
You do not want your penis to disappear.
No, well, yeah.
Not at all.
Yeah. That would be bad. So the most recent case about, the clown sightings. Now this was like a big thing, and it's kind of reached its apex in 2016, but it actually kind of had a few things like before that. Now, the interesting thing about the clown panic is that this isn't such a crazy thing because it's very easy for some joker somewhere to like put on a clown suit and lurk around or like jump on people.
I already know what this is.
And you know what I mean? And so that's a very easy thing to happen. So it's not like you're talking about some, mystery slasher that's not really exists. I mean, obviously you can just buy a clown suit and jump on people, you know what I mean?
There's videos of this though. There's photographs of people doing this.
Right.
I know what this is.
Well, and like I said, the more the media fueled it and hyped it,
the more
people are going to be like, oh, well, wouldn't it be
Read us
funny
a clown case
to put on? So, but the thing is, even though, like I said, it reached its apex in 2016, but everybody's like, killer clowns, they're all over the place. You know what I mean? There were actually a few kind of proto cases. Now, going back to 2013, probably the highest profile one was actually 3 filmmakers in Nottingham, England. And they actually started like kind of as a viral marketing type of thing. They said, well, we're going to start a Facebook page called the Nottingham Clown or Creepy Clown or whatever, kind of based on Pennywise. So they had somebody dress in like a Pennywise-y looking clown suit, and he would stand in like kind of incongruous places, like looking very menacing, and they would take pictures of it and they would put it on their Facebook page. Like I said, it was like a viral marketing thing. So that kind of took off. And then there was a guy in Italy who had a YouTube channel called DM Pranks. And this was also starting about 2014. And he would put on a scary looking clown suit, and he would go like jump on people or like jump out and be like, rah, and then like scare them. And then he would film their reactions, and then he would put it on his YouTube channel. And his YouTube channel got millions and millions of views. So I think that by the time 2016 rolled around, people were like primed to be like fucking creepy clowns.
I'm going to say it goes even before that.
Well,
in the late 90s and in the 2000s, there was a Detroit band called ICP. It's Insane Clown Posse.
Everybody knows Insane.
Everybody knows it. It was Shaggy 2 Dope and Violent J. And, they were fucking hilarious, kind of talented, but a very strange rap band. And a lot of the lyrics, I had several of their albums, like a Toy Box, and, I forgot even their first one. What was this shit? I forgot. It's been so long since. But the lyrics in an ICP record encourage you to be what's called a juggalo. Which a juggalo is kind of like a punk rocker, but it's a rap version of it. And you have clown-like aspects, and you run around, throw Faygo on people, scare the shit out of people, get your ass kicked.
As you would.
Yeah, as you would. That's all in there. You know what I mean? Some of this shit.
So.
Yeah. It's not. Juggalos are kind of like losers in a way. You know what I mean?
Kind of like.
Yeah, they're like losers in a way. They're clowns, and.
But they're owning their losers.
They're owning it, yeah. So.
More
some of this stuff sounds like Juggalo sightings. You know what I mean? It's something a Juggalo would do. A Juggalo would do something like dress up like this crazy clown and jump out and scare some black kids in the hood. That's exactly what a Juggalo. Because this is, ICP was a Detroit band. It was just hood as fuck, even though they were white guys.
Yeah.
It just, there's a lot of weird inconsistencies in ICP, or, you know, but just wait, it's just, but that was part of the joke.
Yeah. So yeah, you had the whole ICP thing.
Yeah.
Like I said, you had
so it
the
could have
whole...
been many factors at once. And Juggalos would go do this shit. I saw Juggalos in the French Quarter in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Okay. And when I said Juggalos, and I was dressed up as a goth kid, they fucking flipped out because I knew what a Juggalo was. And this is back in the late 90s when people didn't know what a Juggalo was.
Let me rap with you, Juggalos.
Yeah.
Is that what you said?
Yeah, and they were like, ah, because they, you know, they had the clown makeup on. They looked like punk rockers with clown makeup.
I would like to address you, Juggalos.
Yeah. Step aside. I'm here to address the Juggalos.
Right?
Yeah,
That's
right.
exactly what I thought of.
Yeah.
I seek an audience with the
I see
Juggalos.
the Juggalos, yeah.
Oh my god.
And they were doing what Juggalos did. They fucking had drinking in public with the, you know, out of paper bags. It's fucking crazy. Don't worry about it.
So it's kind of
looking like clowns and losers.
Yeah, it's kind of like the
misfits.
bum clown thing. Like like what was that real famous clown? What? Oh shit! I just totally blanked.
Bum clown. Oh,
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Bum fighting.
No.
What was that?
No, that really famous clown. What the fuck was his name?
Emmett
Kelly.
I don't know.
That's who, he was like a drunk, looked like a hobo. Yeah, like that. That's going way back. I'm so old. But yeah, so you had, like I said, you had Insane Clown Posse. You also had the Nottingham Clown, which was kind of a thing. Like I said, it was a viral marketing thing. You kind of had the DM pranks, you know, the YouTube channel. So there was kind of that going on. But then, like, the kind of clown panic that happened in 2016 actually originated in South Carolina. And this little 9-year-old boy reported that 2 guys in clown suits had, like, tried to get him to come into the woods with them. So whether these 2 guys existed or not, I mean, like I said, that's not crazy. Shit like that happens all the time. No, I don't know.
It probably was. Because I'd heard that. I saw a local television report, and I can't remember, I think it was Louisiana, saying
this
that
is South Carolina.
Okay, but I'm saying I saw one personally that was happening in Louisiana. This is back in the early 2000s, where young black kids were reporting that they were seeing clowns. Yeah. Okay, and that clowns were coming out behind the dumpsters, and that with video cameras, and the kids were running off. And the police were warning whoever it is that's doing this to knock it off.
Which, of course, is not
because they're going to get shot.
Well, yeah.
For doing that.
I'm actually amazed that none of these have gotten shot. But because I kind of feel like a lot of them were probably panic. And I'm not saying, like I said, I'm not saying that some of them weren't real, because obviously they were. Because, like I said, how easy is it to just put on a clown suit and, like, lurk around and be like, ooh, I'm so scary. But like I said, you're going to get your ass beat.
Yeah, and they weren't picking on black
US,
kids.
You're going to get your ass
They
beat
weren't picking on
shot.
black kids because of racial reasons. It's because Juggalos and the whole Juggalo identity from ICP was being a white guy in a black hood. That's where that band is coming from. Yeah. So that's where they would go.
But the thing is,
because
like
they get beat up.
Yeah.
That was the idea. It was like masochism.
Yeah, that's.
You know what I'm talking about?
Dudes are weird.
To get beat up.
I don't understand it.
Well, I think
the older I get, the less I understand.
I think Violent J and Shaggy 2 Dope, you know what I mean? They were white guys in the hood and they got beat up a lot. And they dressed up like clowns. So their fans were trying to emulate that. Yeah. It's fucking crazy.
So anyway, like I said.
But don't try to make sense out of Juggalos.
I can't make sense out of anything anymore, really. Like I said, the older I get, the less sense shit makes. But evidently, the height of the clown panic that happened in 2016 was actually stemmed from this one case in South Carolina where this kid said, hey, you know, there was these 2 guys dressed like clowns and they were trying to get me to come in the woods with them. And from these seeds, it subsequently went on to pretty much every state in the Union started reporting the clowns, went all over Europe, South America, everywhere. Russia, Eastern Europe, everywhere. So everywhere is starting to see people in fucking clown suits. Yeah. Like I said, were some of these legitimate? Sure. Yeah. You know, how easy would it be? But it got so bad that some states, I think Ohio was one of them, there were probably another ones in some countries, were pretty much like, okay, can we not like sell clown masks for a little while? Yeah. Can we not sell clown outfits? I think Target even pulled all of its like clown masks and stuff like out off their website like for a time while all this was going on.
My explanation is Juggalos and Juggalo copycats.
Fucking Juggalos.
Yeah, Juggalos. I bet you Juggalos started that shit and people started copying it. Mm. And if you probably trace it, you could probably trace it back to somebody like Violent J, telling juggalos to do it.
Yeah.
It's probably what happened.
But yeah, it's pretty sad. And the thing about this, like I said, and this just goes to show how cases of mass panic, mass hysteria can like affect people's lives, affect people's livelihoods. You know, the shit got so bad that people who make their living as clowns, either in circuses or, you know, doing birthday parties and stuff like that, they were like losing significant business because suddenly everyone's afraid of clowns. Clowns are like evil killers. So it really kind of affected their money. And they were like the guys, like one of the guys that was like the head of like the clown association or whatever, like in the US, was like coming out going, you guys, like, knock it off. You're making us all look bad. We're losing money because of you and all this other kind of shit. It's like, it kind of makes me laugh because
fuck clowns.
The way hey, like some people like clowns. I'm not hating. It's like I don't have any like feelings for or against. It's like clowns. It's some people's thing. That's some people's other. I don't really think about it all that much. But I kind of laughed because the
clowns are scary.
Well, yeah, a lot of people do think clowns are scary. Like, I can see why. I mean, it's just like somebody going around with you don't know what they really look like. They have like a fake expression.
That last horror movie that we saw was pretty fucking cool with the clown.
Terrifier.
Terrifier,
yeah, with the clown. But yeah, like people have always known that clowns are scary.
As soon as John Wayne Gacy hit the scene, that was a wrap for the clowns, if you ask me.
Yeah, so maybe we should be blaming him.
Yeah.
Like that fucking douchebag. He ruined it for everybody.
Yeah.
But no, I kind of laugh because the Wikipedia page, when it's talking about, you know, how circuses and stuff were affected, I love that it says circuses and other clown-related businesses. I was like, I want to start a band called Clown-Related Businesses.
Well, circuses were on their way out anyway.
Well, they even said
because
like
of the animals.
They even said like big companies like McDonald's. They're like, we had to like in their advertising, they're like, we had to tone down the Ronald McDonald thing because everybody was like freaking out about clowns. So it's like all their they had to pull them out of all their advertising and shit like that.
They're ugly.
Well, yeah, they can be, sure.
The only clowns that I didn't think were ugly was the damn French Harlequin. Things.
Yeah, and that seems like a different thing.
And that's like a different thing, but I
guess because it's a cultural difference, but that seems like a different.
Very stylish carnival looking, kind of almost like a mime. The mimes are not annoying anyway, but
they're not scary.
They're not scary though. No.
I'm not sure why. Maybe because you can still see their facial expressions. Yeah. It's just white. I mean, clowns, usually they have the big painted smile.
Best Harlequin of all times was David Bowie from the Scary Monsters album.
He was pretty much the best everything.
Ashes to Ashes video.
He was the best everything
Just
ever.
like a fucking Harlequin.
Yeah. But it should be said, so most of the clown sightings were just like mass panic. Now, it should be noted, though, that there was, before Halloween of 2016, there was like a lot of chatter that there was going to be some massive like nationwide clown and purge style attacks on people on Halloween. And obviously that did not happen except in, guess where? Fucking Florida.
Yeah.
There was one attack in Florida where a group of 20 people dressed as clowns, or also with those purge style masks on with the lights and shit, they actually attacked a family. They didn't kill them, but they kind of like attacked them and like assaulted them and stuff.
Dumbass motherfuckers, kids.
Yeah.
Because you could get your ass shot off in Florida.
That's what I mean. Well,
you're lucky you picked one that wasn't packing.
Yeah, like I said, seriously, do not dress up like a clown and go lurk around. Yeah, please do not do that.
You attack a family like that, and that dude's fucking packing heat. You attack a bunch of masks, and he kills 3 or 4
Even
of
if
you.
He's not
that
packing,
dude's gonna walk.
He's
gonna walk. That's justification.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
You got attacked.
No jury would convict.
No, they wouldn't. Yeah. That's what I mean.
Might as well just paint a fucking target on your chest.
You're gonna get your ass shot.
Yeah.
Seriously, don't. All right. So last thing I want to talk about. Let's talk about. Because I know how much you guys have been looking forward to the whole the vanishing penis thing.
Yeah, penis thieves.
Now, as I looked into this, like I said, it's not always penis thieves. That's a particularly African manifestation of it. Actually, this
stealing a brother's prized possession, man. That's
bad
shit.
This is actually considered what they call a culture bound syndrome.
Yeah.
In that
they got a lot to lose.
Even though there are isolated cases of it in the U.S. and there are isolated cases of it in the U.S., and even though it is a legitimate psychological thing, it's a type of body dysmorphia.
Yeah.
But it's generally more prevalent in cultures where fertility and having children is very valued. That's kind of like your main value as a person. And
it's big dick culture.
Well, no, yeah, but well, like I said, it actually, the name of it, Koro, that actually comes from China, because that's the highest prevalence of it is in China.
Oh, then I
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I'm just saying.
Okay,
it's
now
like,
I've been drinking too much.
like I said, it happens all over the world.
It's all over the world, yeah.
But when it manifests itself as like a mass hysteria, it usually happens.
I saw this most recent. I saw a report on this most recent case of it in Africa, and I was just like fucking tripping. What they accused this dude of taking another guy's dick.
Yeah.
They killed him over it. And then they looked at the dude who made the accusation, and he had a dick. They said, "Well, but it doesn't make any sense."
Like I said, it's a sort of body dysmorphia. It's just kind of like
he thought the other good dude took his dick.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you have anorexia and you think you're fat even though you weigh 80 pounds.
Yeah.
Or, you know, it's kind of a thing where people think their hands are too big or something, because that is a thing.
Yeah.
So it's a type of body dysmorphia disorder. Now, when it goes into mass hysteria, like I said, they consider it a culture-bound syndrome. Most of the early cases of it, now there were cases of it in medieval Europe. There were quite a lot of cases of it then. In that case, it was almost always attributed to witchcraft, obviously, because the witchcraft is going to come and steal your penis. That was your sexual power. Yeah. So there was a lot of that going on in the Middle Ages. Basically what this is, like I said, they call it Koro, or they call it genital retraction syndrome. It's not so much that your penis is gone. Sometimes it is, like someone has taken it. But usually it's like either it's shrinking or it's like retracting back into your body. Now, evidently, this can really happen, so they do actually have to check you for retraction. I know he's like over there. I knew that would happen. I was like, yes. But so evidently, it can't really happen. So they do have to check you, make sure your genitals are not actually retracting back into your body cavity, because it's rare, but it can happen. But in most of these cases, it is a psychological disorder, like I said.
Check this out. I saw the videos of it. They got a video somewhere over in one of these little African cities, okay? There's a dude laying face down on the ground. They'd hung him. He's just dead, you know, this poor guy. And a mass of people hunted him down and lynched him and killed him. And when the authorities showed up and said, "Why'd you kill this guy?" They said, "Well, he stole that guy's dick."
Yeah.
So they interviewed this guy, and they got into, and they said, "What happened?" And I don't remember what it was. There was some kind of they were selling something. I think he was a merchant. And there was some kind of business went down between the two, and a fight broke out, insults, and evidently this guy thought that the other guy put a curse on him and took his dick.
Yeah.
So he called all his buddies and says, "Hey, this guy took my dick," and they fucking
stand up for your bros when they steal your dick.
Hunted him down and fucking killed him.
I know, it's crazy.
So the authorities would say, "Well, drop your drawers." And he dropped his drawers, and you guys got a dick right there. What are you talking about? He's like, "You took my dick."
That's a replacement dick.
And it just fucking blowing my mind, man.
It's a fake dick. It's
blowing my fucking mind, man.
Yeah, but like I said, it's body dysmorphia. It's somebody seeing something that's not. They're perceiving something that isn't reality. Your brain can fuck with you in a lot of ways.
You can't fucking trick me to think I don't have a dick, though. I don't understand it, man. I can't.
I bet somebody could. I bet in some kind of laboratory setting.
No,
like
you're not going to be able to say.
Like if they put that God helmet thing on you and like suggest it, or like, because they can make you think you have like that your arm is not your arm and shit like that. It's
if I was somewhere and some dude says, "By the way," you know, and he starts fighting with me, he goes, "Oh, by the way, I just took your dick. I just took your dick." Man, I wouldn't believe that.
Well,
like,
because the thing is,
I just took your ass.
That's
what I said.
Got your nose.
Got your dick.
But yeah, it does happen more often when people have that particular fear. That's why I said that's why a lot of the mass hysteria cases of Koro are usually confined to a specific area of China where there is a particular superstition about people taking your dick or someone shrinking your dick. And also the particular people that it strikes are usually not only very superstitious, but they don't have like any good sex education. They don't know, you know.
They think a dick can be shrunk just by words alone.
Right. And they don't really understand that like sometimes if you jump in cold water, it's going to shrink. You know what I mean? They don't understand that that's normal. So it's that kind of thing. It's usually like lack of education mixed with superstition. Like I said, it was the same thing that happened in the Middle Ages in Europe when they thought witches were stealing their penises or shrinking their penises. It was because they didn't know. I mean, they didn't know.
Man, it's just
so because they had that belief that that's something that witches did, then some people are going to buy into that. Now, for a long time, they thought that it was just like a cultural, like a Chinese phenomenon. Because like I said, this generally comes from cultures where your ability to reproduce is kind of like one of your highest values as a human being. So losing your ability, losing your dick is a huge fear. Now, the interesting thing about it is that when it manifests in China, not only do you have the symptom of, oh, my dick is shrinking, or oh, my dick disappeared, but they also have an overwhelming fear of death that goes along with it. Now, it should be noted that that is a particular manifestation of the Chinese and like the Asian manifestation of this. When it manifests itself in other countries, it still has, oh, my dick is shrinking, oh, my dick disappeared, or someone took it, but it doesn't have that overwhelming, and then I'm going to die because of it. That seems to be a strictly Chinese addition to that particular manifestation. Even though this happens all over the world, it manifests itself a little bit differently depending on what the overwhelming cultural beliefs are and cultural superstitions are. So it's just, like I said, this is a really interesting thing from a sociological standpoint, because I'm always interested in like culture-bound syndromes, where it's like the same disorder, but there's little tweaks of difference just because. So it just goes to show how much like how you grew up, where you grew up, like the beliefs you grew up with do kind of affect how things manifest. Like even though it's the same thing, it's recognizably the same disorder, but it kind of manifests itself a little bit different. So when it happens in Africa, and there were actually several mass hysterias about Koro in Africa in the 1970s and 80s, particularly in Nigeria and stuff like that. Just kind of, it wasn't like huge, it was just like little outbreaks here and there. So because of their particular cultural beliefs, they thought it was witch doctors or shamans or whatever, and they were stealing your dick and keeping it somewhere. You know what I mean? But they didn't have the whole, oh, now I'm going to die or anything like that. And the sad thing is, because they had that belief, like you mentioned, they would sometimes form like vigilante groups and go after the perceived witch or perceived whatever who stole their dicks, and they would kill them because they really did believe that they were going around stealing men's dicks. So like I said, again, this is a case where mass hysteria can lead to like some really, really bad shit. Because it's like, here's this poor guy just sitting in his house somewhere, and like all these people come, you stole my dick. He's like, what? I didn't do anything. And he's like, and then they just fucking kill him. So yeah, but there were a bunch of those. I think probably the most recent was in 2008, and I think that was in the Congo. But, similar type of thing. It's just, the interesting thing, though, what usually makes it go away is sex education. Because they're like, even in the cases where the outbreaks in China, there was some outbreaks in Thailand a little later on. As soon as, like, the authorities come out and say, look, this is what's happening, this superstition isn't true, and stuff like that, usually they tend to fizzle out. Because people have kind of a better handle on it.
I heard this story. This is how bad sex education is in some places of China. They had this young couple that had been married for a few years, and they sent the woman to an infertility clinic because they were trying to have a kid. All right. They couldn't figure out why she wasn't having a kid, right? Until they fucking interviewed her and found out that she wasn't having a kid because they were just going anal.
Yeah.
That's how they thought that shit was done.
Do you know what?
Ain't that something?
You know that fundamentalist Christians, there's like a perception that fundamentalist Christians, particularly in the United States, that aren't allowed to have premarital sex.
They go anal.
They call that the loophole.
Yeah, they go anal. Yeah. That's not just Christians.
Because
though.
it doesn't count.
That's not just Christians. That's a bunch of different places.
Well, like is that anywhere where it's like.
Anywhere where the virginity is like a high thing.
Then that's loophole. Yeah. That's the loophole.
Ass queens.
That's what I mean. It's like, well, that's a way we can have sex.
Yeah,
and we didn't technically.
Yeah.
Which I think is very funny.
Yeah.
But I guess it's better. You're not going to get pregnant like that, so I guess they knew, but Yeah, you're not going to get pregnant with butt stuff.
Yeah, but they didn't know that evidently.
That's pretty bad. Like, see.
They thought that was sex
education. You'd think it would come naturally to people.
Goes in one blade and comes out another.
You'd think it would come naturally to people. It really does not. But this is why we always need sex education, people, seriously.
Or just the high quantities of porn might.
I don't know. I don't think people should be getting sex education from
that's
porn.
True. You get sex education from porn, that might be.
That's some unrealistic shit.
Maybe porn from back in the 50s.
That's really unrealistic shit. But yeah, all right. So I think this is probably going on way long enough. Vanishing penises, everybody. That's what we're going to end this show.
Yeah.
We're going to end it on that note. Look after your penises, guys. It's like you never know when someone's just going to come on and snatch it.
They're going to steal my dick. They better have a truck with them.
Could put it up on the flatbed. Oh, you're priceless. So anyway, so I guess that'll do it for episode 117. I hope you enjoyed our long rambling discussion. I guess you guys do. You seem to. So remember, if you'd like to support the show, you can like, share, subscribe with all your friends and family, or you can financially support the show by going to our Patreon page, which is patreon.com/13o'clockpodcast, or you can go to our blog, which is 13o'clockpodcast.wordpress.com, and you can leave a one-time donation, the little link in the sidebar to a PayPal account if you'd like to do that. Also, check out our last movie retrospective, which was Castle Freak, and our last, what do you call it? 13 o'clock matinee, which was Suspiria, Bohemian Rhapsody, and The Nutcracker. So go check that out.
Go see Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah. And go see Suspiria too. They were both
Suspiria's
very
pretty
good. Like I said, don't bother with The Nutcracker. It was all right. It was just, it was very meh. It was very meh. Teenage girls probably, or preteen girls probably like it, but other than that, don't bother. So yeah, that'll do it for this episode. So we will see you next time.